I'm looking at myself in the screen and I'm not sure I'm digging this lip color. But we've already put it on, so we're just going to go with it. Hey! How are you? Okay, so it's been forever. I know. Can y'all tell I've been watching Smosh? I've been watching a lot of Smosh, like, try not to laugh. Granted, this was my humor pre-Smosh, but I feel like my constant watching of Smosh has just, like, amped it up a little bit. So, like, sorry, not sorry. Hey, nice to see you. Well, I'm not seeing you, but, like, nice to parasocially see you. Um, how are you? I hope you're doing great. If you didn't know, my name is Noelle Janae. I have this podcast called Digging Up, Digging Deep with Noelle Janae, and it's really a time where I can just ramble. Honestly, I talk about the Bible, I talk about pop culture, I talk about being a young Christian woman in her 20s in the year of our Lord 2024. If you see me looking in like a direction that's not at the camera, I've got my notes here and I've also got my viewfinder here because your girl updated her setup because the Lord provides. And that is something I can't talk about the logistics of. I'm giving myself 6 months to a year until I allow myself to talk about it, okay? But let me just give like a little update. It's been a hot minute since I've been on the YouTube channel. It's been a hot minute since I've been on the podcast. If you're watching this, hi, please like and subscribe and also ding that notification bell to be notified whenever I post a new YouTube video because YouTube videos are coming back, okay? I got some stuff coming up that I want to vlog, okay? And also if you're listening to this wherever you listen to your podcast, please give us a 5-star review so people can come listen to the podcast, okay? I may have to turn my fan on in a few minutes because it is hot in here, okay? I'm in my bedroom. Part of my bedroom is underground, okay? You would think that it would be cooler, but it's not because it's like 90 something degrees, okay? Tennessee, what are we doing? Anyway, so I'm still in school. It's currently June. So, we're live, laughing, loving. Okay, if you didn't know, I'm year in college. Go to Lee University. I'm a music and worship major. I probably shouldn't say where I go to school, but here we are. I work on campus. Love my job. I'm not telling you that information, except I've already said it on the podcast, I think, before, but it's fine. It's fine. Nobody knows who I am. I am a Church of God of Prophecy girly. Would like to just up front tell you my denomination in case it makes you run for the hills. I am Pentecostal. I am churchy, okay? And that may come out during these episodes, okay? Praise the Lord. I have a cat. Her name's Domino. I'll insert a picture here. Okay? She's amazing. Actually, let me just let you, just bask in the gloriousness that is Domino Allgood. Yeah. So, she's amazing. Love her to death. Queen. I call her Her Royal Highness Domino because I have windows and they have windowsills on the inside. And she just sits up there and just I call it her surveying her kingdom. And it's great. So the last we spoke on the podcast, I was telling you guys about when I got gallbladder surgery, okay? And we're coming up to a year on that surgery, which I will be doing another podcast episode on. I will be doing a podcast episode on that. The last time I saw y'all on here on my YouTube channel, other than all the little random oral skills videos that I do, Hashtag music major life. I did one day of Vlogmas. Oh, it's pathetic. Okay. Yeah, I tried to do Vlogmas. That obviously didn't work out. But I will be vlogging soon, so stay tuned for that. What else has happened? Oh, I started therapy. I love therapy. I enjoy therapy so much. It's really helped me work through a lot of my emotional baggage, which I was very self-aware about things, but part of it is I need to know why I'm so self-aware, and also how do I cope and manage all the stuff that's happened to me, because if you did not know, my life has fallen apart quite a bit, especially since I've been in college. Like, almost every year, something has happened, and it is no one's fault, okay? Except the devil's. But also, we live in a fallen world, so stuff's gonna happen, which I knew that going in to living. Anyway, I'm just gonna gloss over that. If you hear stuff coming, like banging, that's my upstairs neighbors. I love them with the love of Christ. Oh, speaking of therapy, also got diagnosed with ADHD. Who saw that coming? Crazy. Yeah, we all knew. We all knew that I had severe ADHD. I got diagnosed with inattentive, with a little sprinkling of hyperactive. Out of the 9 criteria, I met 8 of them. So that's where we are. I am in a traveling ensemble again. Period. Love it. We'll tell the story about how that happened, because it was only God. Only He could do it. Only God can do it. Only God can do it. Oh, I told you I was churchy, okay? Got a whole praise break app on my phone and everything. I also have a mini tambourine. I should pull that out one of these days. Also, hold on, sorry, ADHD moment. Okay, that red thing right there. So I have this tapestry of like a world map that I have had since my freshman year of college. It was in my dorm room with my former roommate, Carrie. Carrie, if you're watching this, I love you. But this little red thing, so I got a garland of Christmas llamas, and they stay up year round, okay? The llamas stay up. This isn't what we're talking about today, though. So I had a thought today. I know, really scary, at work. Even scarier. That I should run through, because I was going to do this on my other channel. Go follow Noelle's Randoms. Actually, I don't think that's even the handle. I'll put it down here, and I'll put in the show notes. But I have like a separate kind of Finsta account where I follow all of my like healthy homemaker people. And I post random stuff. Mostly food content, because I've been cooking a lot. Well, I was at the beginning of summer, but now I've kind of gotten into a slump because my apartment's dirty, and so it's really hard to clean with ADHD. Which ADHD could probably be a whole episode in and of itself. But today I wanted to go through my essential albums for life, and specifically for the summer. So this is like a mirage, not a mirage. This is kind of like a mosaic. A look inside the mind of Noelle's music taste, because as I say, English is hard. English is hard. As I said earlier, music is the only thing I'm good at, okay? So, I've got this split up into 2 categories. We got our Christian albums, we got our secular albums. Let me tell you, there's a lot more Christian albums than there are secular albums, Mom. I got 12 Christian albums, I've got 7 secular albums. And one of them is Christian adjacent, okay? So it's like 12 and a half Christian albums, okay? So I'm just going to go through these, give a little blurb about them, why I love them, and we're gonna go on. So, the Christian category, obviously, because God comes first. Period. End of story. Okay. So my first album is one that I've listened to since I was a kid, but oh my gosh, I need to get a new chair. Either that or me and my Christmas blanket. Anyway, I either need to fix this chair or get a new one. Or maybe there's probably a screw that I need to put in. Anyway, so this first album is one that I grew up listening to, but they finally released it on Spotify and Apple Music because it was only available as a CD, and I definitely think they discontinued it. But it's by my favorite Christian artists, period. Also my favorite choir, point blank, period. It is the I'm Amazed live album by Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir. Now, I love BT, okay? BT can do no wrong, okay? Jim and Carol Cymbala, iconic, okay? Iconic. I love them so much. I've had the pleasure of meeting them. Wait, I have his book. Hold on. Please hold while I go get this book. So, I have his book. This is his most recent book. It's called Fan the Flame by Jim Cymbala. It is even signed. So I've been listening to them since I was a kid, right? And I just love the music that Carol writes. Actually, she doesn't even write music. I love the music that Carol arranges and that she produces. You always know it's a BT arrangement of something, just like you always know it's a Prestonwood arrangement of something. Or not even Prestonwood specifically, when it's a Bradley Knight arrangement, okay? And this album was top tier BT, okay? It is my favorite album. It has my favorite songs. Thou, O Lord, Gloria, I'm Amazed, Song of Moses, Hallelujah Anyhow, all those songs. And they finally released it on Spotify and Apple Music. Oh my gosh. Best album. Number one album. So good. The next album is Freedom Live by Eddie James. Anything Eddie James does, really, deserves to be on this list. Eddie is such a nice guy. I first met him in high school. I think this was the summer from my junior year going into my senior year. He was singing. He did a worship night at my best friend at the time, at his church, Restoring Hope, which is pastored by Adam and Amanda Crabb, Jason Crabb's brother. And I love his music. And then I got to see him. I didn't get to talk to him, but I got to see him a few months ago when he came and did a worship night. He did one of our prayer meetings for campus choir, and he spoke to us about just how important he feels to have deep theology. He's not a modern hymn writer, but his songs have the theological depth that hymns usually do, but the arrangements are out of this world. Some of them are very easy. He writes very congregational friendly songs. For example, Freedom, or Alpha and Omega. No, that's not. It's Hallelujah Chant. That's what it's called. And then you have the crazy arrangements that are very difficult, but when you get it, it's like Jesus, holy, you are so, oh my gosh, heavy hitters. And the way his mind thinks is amazing. So that album specifically has been a hyperfixation of me as of late. Literally like a week ago, I had listened to a lot of the songs on the album, but I've never listened to the whole album. And oh my goodness, Sending the Fire, Holy, You Are Worthy, Freedom, I Am, Lord You're Holy, like all those bangers, I tell ya, bangers. Okay, moving on. We are at 19 minutes. I'm only on the third one. Future me's gonna hate me for editing this. Have fun. Number 3, Alive in South Africa by Israel Houghton. Okay. This album gave us Alpha and Omega. That you are Alpha and Omega. That one, it gave us Not Forgotten. It gave us Turn It Around. It gave us Lord, You Are Good. Live. I think Lord, You Are Good had already come out in like one of his previous albums. But this live album, so good. The album cover art is iconic. I feel like I should move over a little bit so I can show y'all the album covers. Yeah, that works. But yeah, so Alive in South Africa, great album. Highly recommend you listen to it. The next one is actually a Christmas album. It is. But anything Tommy Prophet does, you will see me immediately. And it's The Birth of a King live album. I love the original album, but the live album, that live concert, I wasn't able to go. But I did watch it on YouTube when it came out. That whole album is just insane, okay? And the reason I discovered it is because, I'm sorry, I'm name dropping so much in this video. I hate when I do that. Please know my heart, but it's giving context, okay? But it was because Clark Beckham. So if you didn't know, Clark Beckham is an alum of Lee. He's also a campus choir alum. He came back to sing in our classic Christmas, which is like one of the biggest Christmas concerts. Like, it's huge, especially for the Cleveland, Bradley County, Chattanooga area. But he came back and sang, and I was in choral union at the time, and we sang Tommy Prophet's arrangement that he solos on in this album, Noel, which is not the first Noel. No, it is the first Noel. No, it's not. It's Joy to the World. Jesus forgive me. It's Joy to the World. Anyway, he's super sweet. He's one of the best. He definitely is one of the best vocalists of our time right now. Super underrated. Like, I would put him up there with Tori Kelly, and yeah, he's amazing. But that album is so good. The Birth of a King by Tommy Prophet. The next one, oldie but a goodie. Black and White by Royal Taylor. Before there was Torrin Wells, the soloist, there was Royal Taylor, okay? It was this band. That's how I first got to know who Torrin Wells was. And this album, this was like their second album. I think this was their last album. Their second album. There are bops. Every song on here is a bop. Like Make a Move, Free Fall. Oh my gosh. So good. Yeah. I remember when Torrin went solo and I heard Hills and Valleys, I was like, that voice sounds really familiar. And then I did a little Google searching, he was the lead man for Royal Taylor. I saw them first at Winter Jam when they were part of the pre-jam rally thing, concert thing. And I fell in love. You can ask my mother this. Mom, if you're watching this, comment down below. Please confirm that I had a poster of Royal Taylor on my bedroom wall. And it wasn't even signed. That's all. That's all. I have seen Torian live twice now. I won't tell those stories, but he is an amazing performer. He is the Christian Michael Jackson. Okay. Next up, I've got 3 albums by this band. They are my favorite band of all time. Actually, no. Favorite Christian band of all time. I'll tell y'all my favorite band in a minute. But 3 of their albums have made this list. Because I love them. And I feel like I have a special connection with each of these albums, okay? Burn the Ships by For King and Country is probably the best one of the best Christian albums I've ever heard. And this album came out in a very pivotal moment in my life. I want to say it was 2019. My grandfather had just passed away. I was about to go into college. It was a very tumultuous time in my life. Let me fact check myself. Oh, it was 2018. It was not 2018. I feel like, okay. What was happening in 2018? Something traumatic happened in my life in 2018. I can't really remember. No, nothing really happened in my life. But when 2019 came around, I rediscovered this album. That's what it was. And it played a very pivotal role in my life in getting me through a lot of hardship, a lot of grief. And I cannot thank Joel and Luke enough for that. This album is very special in my heart. Along with pretty much the rest of their albums, which we'll get into. The next album, The Church is Alive by Indiana Bible College. Now, let me tell you, I'm not apostolic, okay? I'm not holiness, okay? I will get down to some IBC, okay? I will. I want to go to one of their concerts one day. I will even wear a dress. That's how much I love them. And I think the music that they make, regardless of their theology, everything that I've heard is so theologically and biblically sound. This is their latest album, and it is so good. Oh my goodness. Bop after bop after bop. Okay. And I'm just very thankful for them. I don't have much to say on this because it just came out, but yeah. I love them. IBC, I love you. The next up is my favorite Christian album of all time. It's like tied for number 1 with I'm Amazed. This is City of Life Worship. City of Life is located down in Florida. I want to say Orlando. My mom, one of my mom's mentors, attends this church and plays there, I think. His sister and brother-in-law are the pastors. No, they're not. His nephew's the pastor. His brother-in-law and sister used to pastor. But now their son is pastoring. I think. Don't quote me on that. But they came out with this worship album. This was years ago. This was when I was like, oh gosh, I don't even remember how old I was. But this is my favorite Christian, worship album of all time. Except for the fact, there are 2 things I have problems with. One, there's a song called Joy, okay? And the lyric going into the chorus is, keep tripping on joy. Tell me what that makes you think about. That's like one of the only like lyrical things that I have a problem with. And another thing, they were doing secular music and Christian albums before everyone else was doing secular music and Christian. They did I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner. Y'all, I want to know what love is. I think that's what it was. Yes, they did I Want to Know What Love Is. I had to make sure that wasn't just a fever dream. But regardless of like those two things, this is my favorite album of all time. There are so many great songs on this album. Next album. Another freaking country album. It's Crave. Crave is such a good album. Like, I don't know if I would even put it in the Christian. There's a lot of Christian undertones. I don't know if I would call this a Christian album. Like, there's a lot of like Christ-like songs, like Proof of Your Love. Light It Up, Busted Heart, Middle of Your Heart, Pushing on a Pull. Like, there's a lot of like Christian undertones. This album came out when I was 11. Yeah, and it's held up so well. I still love this. I still listen to this album. Yeah, I love this album. I would put it on the verge of like Christian and secular. There's a lot of like Christian undertones. So I have not enjoyed that much of their new album. Have I fully listened? I listened to a few of the songs and I enjoyed them. I'll have to get the album a full listen, even though I'm so late to that. I may do an album review again. My second album review. Next up, Instrument of Worship by Dave Brown. This goes without saying. I've known Dave since I was a kid. He's a fantastic trumpet player. He does come out of the Church of God of Prophecy. And I listen to this album when I'm doing my like morning devotion time, or if I'm doing any like scripture meditation, which is different than regular meditation. I don't mess with that New Age stuff. But I had to do meditation for my spiritual formation and discipleship class because we were reading through The Spiritual Disciplines by Richard Foster. Celebration of Discipleship. That's what it's called. But yeah, that's a great album to do that to. Another like instrumental album that I failed to mention, even though it's by one of my favorite people of all time, Be Still by Randy Sheeks. Dr. Sheeks is a legend. He is my music and worship professor, and I'm totally biased in this, but oh my Lanta, that man can play the piano, and we love him for it. And yeah, love you, Dr. Sheeks and Mrs. Sheeks. Okay, next we're getting to the end of this section of the album. Run Wild, Live Free, Love Strong by Freaking Country. This is my favorite Freaking Country album. Like, Burn the Ships is a very close second. But this album is my favorite Freaking Country album. I still have every song memorized. Like, obviously the title track, especially the version they did with Andy Mineo. Ceasefire, Steady. What other songs were on this album? Oh, what's Phil? Oh my gosh, Fix My Eyes. I was like, fill my cup. That's not what the song's called. Priceless, To the Dreamers. Like, every song on this album is a bop. I'm sorry if the light keeps going in and out. I'm looking at the albums on Spotify, and I'm using dark mode. That was a failure on my part. Anyway, yeah. Run Wild, Live Free, Love Strong by Freaking Country is my favorite Freaking Country album. And that's that on that. The last worship Christian album that I have. I have 4 albums by this artist on these lists. And this is the first one. Worship Songs by VeggieTales. This album has been out since I was a kid. And I still listen to it because it's a classic. Okay? It's classic. And I will take VeggieTales over anything any day. So, you got the bops like Blessed Be Your Name on there. Like, what are you gonna do? Anyway, so, that's all for my Christian albums. Now we move on to the secular albums. And the first 3 secular albums are all by the same artist. We have Bob and Larry Sing the 70s, Bob and Larry Sing the 80s, and Bob and Larry Go Country by the VeggieTales. Bob and Larry Go Country is my favorite one because I love country music. And summer is for country, okay? But these 3 albums, the way they sing these songs, it's so good, so funny, and I don't mean this ironically. That's the worst part, is I genuinely enjoy these albums. So yeah, these are bops. They're amazing. And we love them for it. Next album. Okay, my favorite band of all time. The Doobie Brothers. I grew up listening to their music. My mom was in a band when I was growing up. They did oldies. You know, the Arethas, the Doobie Brothers. They did, obviously, Michael McDonald. They did Stevie Wonder. They did all the things. They did, what else did they do? They did Soul Man. I can't remember who that is. That the Blues Brothers? I think that was the Blues Brothers. Anyway, they did like all those kinds of songs. And this is my favorite album. I have this on vinyl. You know I love an album. Like, I have Burn the Ships on vinyl. I have this album. It's The Captain and Me by the Doobie Brothers. It's my favorite Doobie Brothers album of all time. Am I basic? Yes, I am. Am I mad about it? No, I'm not. And that's that on that. Okay? I love this album. So, like, Long Train Running's on this album. China Grove's on this album. I don't think Blackwater's on this album. Is Blackwater on this album? I think Blackwater may be on this album. No. Blackwater is not on this album. Oh, Natural Things on this album. That's a great album opener. Great album opener. But yeah, Captain and Me, great album. Best album. Next up, oh my gosh. I can't believe I'm talking about this album again. The Imminent Frame by Though I Wander. Now, you may be wondering, Noelle, what in the world is that? Now, if you have listened to my podcast episodes in the past, you will know I have raved about this album. I made a whole podcast episode dedicated to this album and to this man. His name's Charlie. He was once my oral skills 2 professor. And we discovered this album. I discovered this album of October 2021. No, 2022. Might have been 2021. I think it was 2021. And by December, he was my number one artist. And all of his songs were in my top like 5. I call that dedication. And I love this album for so many reasons. As I said, I've already done a podcast episode about it. But the way he writes lyrics, the way he arranges songs, oh my gosh. At home, if you're watching this, hey, miss you. Please come back. Please come back to Lee. Anyway, that's my little spiel about the best album ever. It's a folk album, very folksy. Next up, actually, I don't think this movie is essential to my life. I don't know if the album is essential. A couple of songs off the album are La La Land. Love that movie. My number 2 movie of all time. But I love the album. I love a lot of the songs on the album. But the album is not really essential to my life. So sorry about that. I misled you. Next up is by my favorite like indie band. Okay. Half Alive. I love them. And their Now Not Yet album, the first album they came out with, I did not enjoy some of Conditions of a Punk. But I love every song off of this album. And it has very good Christian godly undertones. Like literally in the last song on the album, they reference Jesus Christ by name, and I was like, glory! But this album, their music is just so good. And their like creative like process is cool. The way they arrange their songs. Obviously, I'm a music person, so every song that I listen to, I analyze. It's hard for me to enjoy listening to music now because I'm just like, ooh, what they do there, what they do there. But once I get past the analytical view of it, I can enjoy it. And this album is just so good. It's just so good. This last album is going to be very controversial. Okay. Is Unreal Unearthed by Hozier. I love this album so much, I also have it on vinyl. I will say, I'm a Hozier stan. He has been my hyperfixation since Too Sweet came out, okay? I remember when Take Me to Church came out. I remember enjoying the song, but not enjoying the content. But, oh my god, his voice, his vocal range, and like discovering his past and like the stuff he's done, like being in Trinity Orchestra, being in choirs growing up and stuff. Oh my, like no wonder this man has such a developed range. It's so good. I love watching his live performance. If I ever saw this band live, I would not survive. There is no surviving for me. And I know some of his song content is kind of, specifically the Wasteland Baby. That's why I didn't put Wasteland Baby on this list, because I enjoy some of the songs, but a lot of the songs I'm like, Andrew, do we need to have a conversation? But I think I'm going to do an episode. I'm doing some research right now, kind of gathering my thoughts. I've listened to his whole discography for this. Also because I just really enjoy his music. He has a very folksy, well, not even folksy. Some of his stuff is very folksy, like Wildflower and Barley. A lot of the stuff on his first album, the Hozier album, is kind of folks adjacent. But he's very bluesy. And this album, Unreal Unearthed, that I'm supposed to be talking about, the format of it, if you look at like the album, like it on vinyl or a CD or something, it's divided up into sections. It's divided up into 9 sections. Um, and it's based on Dante's Inferno and the 9 circles of hell and the sins that Dante uncovers. And I'm doing some research and stuff. I just got finished with my Western Literature Ancient to Renaissance class, and we had to read Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise, all three from the Divine Comedy. And some of the things he came away with, I think, are incorrect. I think his interpretation of some things that happen and the conclusions that he makes are very not good, are wrong. And I'm not trying to gatekeep that, but there is a very big difference between oh, I saw this and this made me think of this, and then I saw this and thinking a completely different thing. I think I would also like you to dive into some of his lyrical liberties that he takes and talk about the theological implications of them. I watched the interview he did with Brittany Broski. I enjoy some of her stuff. Her royal court stuff is hilarious. I'm not an avid Brittany Broski watcher. She did an interview with Hozier, and they kind of dove into their walks with God and growing up raised in a Christian household. But I was watching that interview that he did with Brittany, and it was like 2:00 in the morning, and I just felt so burdened for him and her. But there was one point where they were like, even Jesus was an atheist. He renounced God on the cross. And I was like, I got angry, okay? I'm moving back over. I got angry, I will say. Because I was like, that's totally incorrect. When Jesus was on the cross, and they were saying that because God abandoned him. And I'm like, that's not what that means. The Lord grows the platform. I would love to sit down with Andrew Hozier Byrne and talk. It doesn't even need to be on camera. I just want to talk to him about how he feels about some of this stuff. And obviously, I'm not the perfect person. No one is the perfect person except Jesus. Anyway, back to the album. But Hozier and Theology episode coming soon. But Unreal Unearthed, it's just the way he writes his lyrics, the way he tells stories with his lyrics, and then the way that he puts the instruments together. His band is amazing. Some of my favorite songs off the album: DeSelby Part 1 and Part 2. Great. Oh my gosh. Francesca. Oh, so sad. All Things End. First Light. Ikarion. Is it Ikarion or Ikarion? Because if so, it could be Ikarion, which I think is great. That's just good writing. Okay. Yeah, that whole album is just so good. Also, the new EP that he came out with, Unheard, which has Too Sweet. My favorite song off of that EP is Empire Now. Too Sweet, she's cute or whatever, but Empire Now is that girl. And I would love for him to perform it live. If anybody would like to buy me tickets to the Pilgrimage Music Festival happening in September in Franklin, Tennessee, I would greatly appreciate it because I want to see this man live. Thank you. But yeah, that episode coming soon. And I have one more album. I just forgot. And this is my essential summer album. And it is A Year Without Rain by Selena Gomez. My mother and I we bought this album in a Justice store long ago. We bought the CD, and oh my gosh, I've listened to it every summer since. This album is the essential summer album. I'm convinced. It is the perfect summer album. Summer's Not Hot is the song of the summer. So yeah, highly recommend all of these albums. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will be back next week, hopefully. And I hope you have a great day, great night, great whenever you're watching this. Don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, to like and subscribe. Please hit that post notification bell to be notified whenever I post a new YouTube video. Also, hopefully by the time this comes out, I will have my first episode of my new little podcast thing with my best friend Tori up, called What's the Point? Go check it out. It's just two young women rambling. In our first episode, we talked about Marvel. Yeah. So, and if you're listening on Spotify or any other podcasting sector, leave us a 5-star review, and also share this with your friends and family. And I love you. Jesus loves you. Have a great day. Toodaloo. 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 What is that? Anyway.